Question 1. In California, for how long is a Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, valid? A. 1 year. B. 3 years. C. 5 years. D. 10 years. Answer: C. 5 years. The Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, is valid for a period of 5 years from the date of issuance in California. This means that after 5 years, an individual would need to retake the FSC test and obtain a new certificate to purchase or acquire another firearm. The 5-year validity period ensures that certificate holders periodically refresh their knowledge of current firearms safety laws and practices, which can change over time. For example, if you obtained your FSC in January 2023, it would expire in January 2028. Always make a note of your FSC expiration date to ensure you are prepared for future firearm transactions. Question 2. Which of the following individuals is generally required to possess a Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, in California? A. An active duty law enforcement officer. B. A person purchasing a handgun from a licensed dealer. C. A person inheriting a firearm from a direct family member. D. A person who possesses a valid California hunting license. Answer: B. A person purchasing a handgun from a licensed dealer. In California, the Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, is generally required for any individual who wishes to purchase or acquire a firearm, including handguns, from a licensed dealer. This certificate ensures that the individual has demonstrated a basic understanding of firearms safety laws and safe handling practices. While there are specific exemptions, such as for active law enforcement or those with a valid concealed carry permit, most ordinary citizens engaging in a firearm transaction will need an FSC. For instance, if you walk into a gun store to buy your first handgun, the dealer will require you to present a valid FSC. Always confirm the current requirements when planning to acquire a firearm. Question 3. What is the standard fee for a Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, in California? A. $10. B. $15. C. $25. D. $50. Answer: C. $25. The standard fee for a Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, in California is $25, a standardized cost set by state law. This fee covers the administrative costs associated with taking the test and the issuance of the certificate itself. When you take the FSC test at a licensed firearm dealership, the dealer collects this fee directly from you. For example, if you pass your FSC exam, you will pay the $25 fee to the dealer to receive your certificate. Remember to factor this modest cost into your plans when preparing to acquire a firearm. Question 4. Where can a person take the Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, test in California? A. Online through the Department of Justice website. B. At any local police station or sheriff's office. C. At any California Department of Motor Vehicles, DMV, office. D. At a licensed California firearm dealer. Answer: D. At a licensed California firearm dealer. In California, the Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, test can only be administered by a Department of Justice, DOJ, certified instructor at a licensed California firearm dealer. These dealers are equipped to conduct the test and issue the certificate upon successful completion. For instance, if you want to obtain your FSC, you would visit a local gun store that sells firearms and ask to take the FSC exam there. This process ensures that the test is administered in a controlled environment by knowledgeable personnel. Always verify that the location is a licensed dealer before attempting to take the test. Question 5. What replaced the Handgun Safety Certificate, HSC, in California on January 1, 2015? A. The Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC. B. The Basic Firearm Proficiency Card, BFPC. C. The California Gun Owner's License, CGOL. D. The Concealed Carry Weapon, CCW, permit. Answer: A. The Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC. On January 1, 2015, the Handgun Safety Certificate, HSC, was replaced by the Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, in California. The FSC is a broader certificate that applies to all firearms, not just handguns, ensuring a more comprehensive approach to firearm safety knowledge for purchasers. This change streamlined the certification process and expanded the scope of safety education required by state law. For example, where an HSC used to be sufficient for a handgun purchase, now an FSC is required for handguns, rifles, and shotguns. Understand that the FSC covers all categories of firearms you might legally acquire. Question 6. What is the primary purpose of the Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, program in California? A. To generate revenue for the state's public safety initiatives. B. To limit the number of firearms sold in California each year. C. To ensure that firearm purchasers understand basic firearm safety laws and handling. D. To track all firearm owners in the state for federal databases. Answer: C. To ensure that firearm purchasers understand basic firearm safety laws and handling. The primary purpose of the Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, program in California is to ensure that individuals acquiring firearms have a fundamental understanding of firearm safety laws and safe handling practices. This program is designed to promote responsible firearm ownership by requiring knowledge of basic safety principles before a firearm can be purchased. For instance, the FSC test covers topics like safe storage, transportation, and the 4 basic firearm safety rules. The goal is to equip new firearm owners with essential knowledge to prevent accidents and misuse. Question 7. Which of the following individuals is generally exempt from the Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, requirement when purchasing a firearm? A. A new resident who recently moved to California. B. A person who has previously owned a firearm in another state. C. An active California peace officer. D. A person over 65 years of age. Answer: C. An active California peace officer. Active California peace officers are generally exempt from the Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, requirement when purchasing a firearm. This exemption recognizes that peace officers receive extensive training in firearms safety and handling as part of their professional duties. Other common exemptions include active duty military personnel and individuals who possess a valid California Concealed Carry Weapon, CCW, permit. For example, if a police officer wishes to buy a personal firearm, they typically do not need to take the FSC test. Always check the specific exemption criteria as laws can be detailed. Question 8. What minimum age must a person be to obtain a Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, in California? A. 18 years old. B. 21 years old. C. 16 years old with parental consent. D. Any age if accompanied by an adult. Answer: A. 18 years old. To obtain a Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, in California, an individual must be at least 18 years old. This age requirement aligns with the general legal age for purchasing long guns, rifles and shotguns, in the state. While the minimum age to purchase a handgun is generally 21, the FSC itself can be obtained at 18, allowing for future acquisition of eligible firearms. For instance, an 18-year-old could take the FSC test and then legally purchase a rifle. Ensure you meet all age requirements for both the certificate and the specific firearm you intend to acquire. Question 9. What is a key requirement for a Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, applicant to provide at the time of taking the test? A. Proof of residency for at least 5 years. B. A valid California driver's license or identification card. C. A letter of recommendation from a law enforcement official. D. Evidence of participation in a shooting sports club. Answer: B. A valid California driver's license or identification card. A key requirement for an applicant taking the Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, test is to present a valid California driver's license or identification card. This is essential for verifying the applicant's identity and age, ensuring they meet the minimum age requirement of 18 years old for the FSC. Without proper identification, the Department of Justice, DOJ, certified instructor at the licensed firearm dealer cannot administer the test. For example, bring your up-to-date California ID with you when you go to take the FSC exam. Always have your current, valid identification ready for any official firearm-related process. Question 10. The Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, test primarily covers which of the following topics? A. Advanced tactical shooting techniques. B. California hunting regulations and seasons. C. Safe firearm handling, storage, transportation, and laws. D. Federal gun manufacturing and importation laws. Answer: C. Safe firearm handling, storage, transportation, and laws. The Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, test primarily covers essential topics related to safe firearm handling, proper storage, legal transportation methods, and relevant California firearm laws. This comprehensive scope ensures that individuals acquiring firearms possess fundamental knowledge to prevent accidents and comply with state regulations. For example, you will be tested on the 4 basic rules of firearms safety and the requirements for keeping firearms locked at home. The FSC focuses on foundational safety principles applicable to all firearm owners. Question 11. What must a handgun purchaser in California successfully complete at the point of sale in addition to possessing a valid FSC? A. A live-fire shooting proficiency test. B. A detailed background check only. C. A safe handling demonstration, SHD. D. A psychological evaluation. Answer: C. A safe handling demonstration, SHD. In California, in addition to possessing a valid Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, a handgun purchaser must successfully complete a safe handling demonstration, SHD, at the point of sale. This demonstration is performed with the firearm being purchased, under the observation of the licensed firearm dealer or a certified instructor. The purpose is to confirm the purchaser can safely load, unload, and operate the specific handgun model they are acquiring, ensuring practical safety competence. For instance, the dealer might ask you to show that the firearm is unloaded and then apply the safety. Always pay close attention during this practical safety check. Question 12. What does a safe handling demonstration, SHD, for a handgun typically involve? A. Disassembling and reassembling the entire firearm. B. Firing live ammunition at a target range. C. Demonstrating safe loading, unloading, and basic operation of the specific handgun. D. Reciting firearm safety rules from memory without assistance. Answer: C. Demonstrating safe loading, unloading, and basic operation of the specific handgun. A safe handling demonstration, SHD, for a handgun typically involves demonstrating safe loading, unloading, and basic operation of the specific handgun being purchased. This practical demonstration is conducted at the licensed firearm dealer under supervision to ensure the purchaser understands the specific firearm's safety features and functions. For example, you might be asked to show how to check if the chamber is clear or how to engage the safety mechanism. The SHD is a hands-on assessment of your ability to handle a particular firearm safely. Question 13. If a firearm is transferred between immediate family members, parent/child, grandparent/grandchild, what is generally true regarding the FSC requirement for the recipient? A. The recipient is always exempt from needing an FSC. B. The recipient must still possess a valid FSC. C. The recipient must obtain an FSC only if the firearm is a handgun. D. The recipient is exempt if they are under 18 years old. Answer: B. The recipient must still possess a valid FSC. Even when a firearm is transferred between immediate family members, such as a parent to an adult child or grandparent to an adult grandchild, the recipient generally must still possess a valid Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC. While there are specific legal exemptions for certain types of transfers, the FSC requirement applies to ensure that even in private party transfers, the recipient understands fundamental safety and legal obligations. For example, if your parent gifts you a shotgun, you would need to have an FSC before the transfer can be completed legally. Always ensure both parties meet all legal requirements for any firearm transfer. Question 14. What is the primary purpose of the California Department of Justice, DOJ, regarding firearm safety education? A. To directly teach all firearm safety courses to the public. B. To certify instructors and oversee the FSC program to ensure safety standards. C. To distribute free firearms to qualified citizens. D. To design and manufacture approved firearm safety devices. Answer: B. To certify instructors and oversee the FSC program to ensure safety standards. The primary purpose of the California Department of Justice, DOJ, regarding firearm safety education is to certify instructors and oversee the Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, program. The DOJ sets the standards for the FSC test content and ensures that only qualified individuals administer the exam at licensed firearm dealerships. For instance, the DOJ approves the questions on the FSC exam and verifies that instructors meet the necessary qualifications. This oversight role helps maintain consistent safety education standards across the state. Question 15. A California resident wants to purchase a rifle. What is typically required for this transaction concerning the Firearm Safety Certificate? A. No FSC is required for rifles. B. An FSC is required, and the purchaser must be 21 years old. C. An FSC is required, and the purchaser must be at least 18 years old. D. Only a hunting license is required, not an FSC. Answer: C. An FSC is required, and the purchaser must be at least 18 years old. For the purchase of a rifle in California, an individual is typically required to possess a valid Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, and must be at least 18 years old. The FSC requirement applies to all firearm categories, including rifles, shotguns, and handguns, unless a specific exemption applies. For example, an 18-year-old who has successfully passed the FSC exam can legally purchase a rifle from a licensed dealer. Remember that age requirements apply both to obtaining the FSC and to the specific type of firearm being purchased. Question 16. Which document is generally not an acceptable form of identification to take the Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, test? A. A valid California driver's license. B. A valid California identification card. C. A U.S. passport. D. A student ID card from a California university. Answer: D. A student ID card from a California university. A student ID card from a California university is generally not an acceptable form of identification to take the Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, test. The Department of Justice, DOJ, requires a valid, government-issued identification that clearly verifies the applicant's identity and age, such as a California driver's license or identification card. For example, while your student ID might grant you access to campus facilities, it lacks the official standing for state-mandated firearm safety certifications. Always ensure you bring a state-issued photo ID when taking the FSC test. Question 17. What is a key reason for the FSC program's focus on safe firearm storage? A. To ensure all firearms are stored in gun safes of a specific brand. B. To prevent unauthorized access, especially by children or prohibited persons. C. To make firearms less accessible for self-defense. D. To encourage owners to store firearms off-site at a shooting range. Answer: B. To prevent unauthorized access, especially by children or prohibited persons. A key reason for the Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, program's strong focus on safe firearm storage is to prevent unauthorized access, particularly by children, curious individuals, or prohibited persons. California law emphasizes storing firearms unloaded and in a locked container or with a locking device, separate from ammunition, when not under the direct control of the owner. For example, proper storage prevents a child from accidentally finding and discharging a firearm or a burglar from easily acquiring a weapon. Responsible storage is a cornerstone of preventing firearm accidents and misuse. Question 18. If a person's Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, expires, what must they do to purchase another firearm? A. They can simply renew it online. B. They must retake the FSC test and obtain a new certificate. C. They need to apply for a temporary FSC from the local police. D. They are permanently prohibited from purchasing firearms. Answer: B. They must retake the FSC test and obtain a new certificate. If a person's Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, expires, they must retake the FSC test and obtain a new certificate to purchase or acquire another firearm. The FSC is valid for 5 years, and there is no simple renewal process. The test must be passed again. This requirement ensures that individuals stay current with firearm safety laws and practices, which can evolve over time. For instance, if your FSC expired last month, you would need to visit a licensed dealer, pass the test again, and pay the fee for a new certificate before you can complete a new firearm purchase. Question 19. Which of the following statements about the FSC test is true? A. It is an open book test that allows use of reference materials. B. It is a closed book test that requires a passing score of at least 75%. C. It is administered by a law enforcement officer at a police station. D. It primarily assesses physical ability to handle a firearm. Answer: B. It is a closed book test that requires a passing score of at least 75%. The Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, test is a closed book examination, meaning you cannot use reference materials during the test, and it requires a passing score of at least 75%. This ensures that test takers have genuinely assimilated the safety information rather than just looking up answers. The test is administered by a Department of Justice, DOJ, certified instructor at a licensed firearm dealership, not by law enforcement at a station. For example, you must answer 23 out of 30 questions correctly without assistance to pass. Study the materials provided by the California Department of Justice beforehand to be well prepared. Question 20. What is a common example of an approved firearm safety device as referenced in California law? A. A basic gun cleaning kit. B. A cable lock or trigger lock. C. A ballistic vest. D. A loaded magazine. Answer: B. A cable lock or trigger lock. A common example of an approved firearm safety device, as referenced in California law, is a cable lock or a trigger lock. These devices are designed to prevent the firearm from being loaded or discharged, thereby making it inoperable when stored or not under direct control. California law often requires that firearms be sold with or accompanied by such a device to promote responsible storage and prevent unauthorized access. For instance, when you purchase a new firearm, it will typically come packaged with an approved lock, which is an important tool for safe storage. Question 21. When transporting a firearm in a vehicle in California, what is generally required regarding the firearm's condition? A. It must be loaded and readily accessible for self-defense. B. It must be unloaded and locked in a container, not readily accessible. C. It can be placed anywhere in the vehicle as long as it's out of sight. D. It must be carried openly in a holster on the driver's person. Answer: B. It must be unloaded and locked in a container, not readily accessible. When transporting a firearm in a vehicle in California, it is generally required to be unloaded and locked in a container, not readily accessible to the occupants. This rule applies to both handguns and long guns and is crucial for public safety and legal compliance. For example, placing an unloaded rifle in a locked case in your trunk would typically satisfy this requirement, whereas having a loaded pistol under your car seat would not. Always prioritize safe and legal transportation to avoid potential legal issues and ensure everyone's safety. Question 22. If you find a lost Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, what should you do? A. Keep it for yourself and use it to purchase a firearm. B. Turn it over to a licensed firearm dealer or law enforcement agency. C. Try to find the original owner yourself through social media. D. It has no value once lost, so you can discard it. Answer: B. Turn it over to a licensed firearm dealer or law enforcement agency. If you find a lost Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, you should turn it over to a licensed firearm dealer or a law enforcement agency, such as your local police department or sheriff's office. An FSC is a valuable credential that contains personal information, and its misuse could have serious implications. For example, if you find an FSC, taking it to a gun store ensures it can be either returned to the owner or properly processed. Always handle found official documents responsibly and legally. Question 23. What is the main benefit of obtaining an FSC early, even if you don't plan to purchase a firearm immediately? A. It allows you to skip background checks in the future. B. It ensures you are prepared and knowledgeable about firearm safety and laws when needed. C. It grants you immediate eligibility for a concealed carry permit. D. It provides a discount on firearm purchases. Answer: B. It ensures you are prepared and knowledgeable about firearm safety and laws when needed. Obtaining an FSC early, even if you don't plan to purchase a firearm immediately, ensures you are prepared and knowledgeable about current firearm safety and laws when the need arises. The certificate validates your understanding of responsible firearm ownership principles, which are essential for safe handling and legal compliance. For example, if an unexpected opportunity to acquire a firearm arises, having your FSC already means one less hurdle to clear. Being proactive with your FSC ensures you are always ready and knowledgeable. Question 24. What does the C in ACTT, or COLT, often stand for in firearm safety guidelines? A. Clean. B. Chamber. C. Control. D. Confirm. Answer: C. Control. In common firearm safety guidelines like ACTT, always assume loaded, control the muzzle, keep your finger off the trigger, be sure of your target and what's beyond it, or COLT, control the muzzle, observe the target, look for an obstruction, take your time. The C often stands for control the muzzle. This fundamental rule emphasizes the importance of always pointing the firearm's muzzle in a safe direction. For example, if you are handing a firearm to another person, you control the muzzle direction throughout the transfer to ensure it never points at anyone. Muzzle control is paramount to preventing accidental injury. Question 25. An individual who has a valid California Concealed Carry Weapon, CCW, permit is generally what regarding the FSC requirement? A. Required to obtain an FSC every 2 years. B. Required to obtain an FSC only for long gun purchases. C. Exempt from the FSC requirement. D. Required to take a specialized FSC course. Answer: C. Exempt from the FSC requirement. An individual who possesses a valid California Concealed Carry Weapon, CCW, permit is generally exempt from the Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, requirement. This exemption exists because obtaining a CCW permit involves a more extensive background check, training, and demonstration of firearm proficiency, which is considered to meet or exceed the safety knowledge validated by the FSC. For example, if you have a current CCW permit, you would not need to take the FSC test to purchase a new handgun. This streamlines the process for those who have already demonstrated advanced safety competence. Question 26. When purchasing a firearm, what happens if an individual fails the FSC test? A. They are permanently banned from purchasing firearms. B. They must wait a mandatory 30 days before retesting. C. They can retake the test at any time, typically after further study. D. They can purchase the firearm but must complete the FSC within 90 days. Answer: C. They can retake the test at any time, typically after further study. If an individual fails the Firearm Safety Certificate, FSC, test, they can retake the test at any time, typically after further study. There is no mandatory waiting period or limit on how many times one can attempt the test. This allows learners to review the material, understand their errors, and return when they feel more prepared. For example, if you don't pass on your first attempt, you can go home, study the California Firearms Safety Certificate Study Guide, and return to the dealer to try again the next day or week. The goal is mastery of safety principles, not to bar individuals from firearm ownership due to a single test failure. Question 27. What is the primary reason California law requires firearms to be stored unloaded and locked when not in direct control of the owner? A. To deter theft of firearms. B. To prevent accidental discharge and unauthorized access, especially by children. C. To reduce the number of firearms in circulation. D. To simplify inventory for law enforcement agencies. Answer: B. To prevent accidental discharge and unauthorized access, especially by children. The primary reason California law requires firearms to be stored unloaded and locked when not in direct control of the owner is to prevent accidental discharge and unauthorized access, particularly by children or individuals who are not permitted to handle firearms. This critical safety measure aims to reduce the risk of unintentional injury or death. For instance, storing a firearm in a locked safe with ammunition stored separately ensures that curious hands or individuals with harmful intent cannot easily access a loaded weapon. Responsible storage is a cornerstone of firearm safety, promoting a safer environment for everyone. Question 28. What should you do immediately if you realize your firearm has been lost or stolen in California? A. Wait a few weeks to see if it turns up. B. Report it to your local law enforcement agency. C. Post about it on social media to get help finding it. D. Contact the Department of Justice directly. Answer: B. Report it to your local law enforcement agency. If you realize your firearm has been lost or stolen in California, you must immediately report it to your local law enforcement agency. California law requires firearm owners to report lost or stolen firearms to law enforcement within a specific time frame, typically within 5 days of discovering the loss or theft. This is a crucial step for public safety and to help prevent your firearm from being used in a crime. For example, if your handgun is stolen from your car, you should contact your local police department right away to file a report. Prompt reporting is a serious responsibility for every firearm owner. Question 29. Which of the following is not an acceptable method of storing a firearm to comply with California safety requirements? A. Storing it in a locked gun safe. B. Storing it with a DOJ-approved locking device, unloaded. C. Storing it unloaded, out of sight, in an unlocked closet. D. Storing it unloaded, in a locked container. Answer: C. Storing it unloaded, out of sight, in an unlocked closet. Storing a firearm unloaded, out of sight, in an unlocked closet is not an acceptable method of storage to comply with California safety requirements. California law mandates that firearms must be stored unloaded and in a locked container or secured with a Department of Justice, DOJ, approved locking device when not under the direct control of the owner. The key aspect here is locked to prevent unauthorized access. For example, simply hiding a firearm in an unlocked closet does not meet the legal requirement for secure storage, which is designed to protect curious children or prevent theft. Question 30. What is the significance of the Safe Handling Demonstration, SHD, for a handgun in California? A. It is solely a test of the purchaser's physical strength. B. It ensures the purchaser can safely operate the specific handgun model. C. It replaces the need for a background check. D. It determines the purchaser's eligibility for future firearm purchases. Answer: B. It ensures the purchaser can safely operate the specific handgun model. The significance of the Safe Handling Demonstration, SHD, for a handgun in California is that it ensures the purchaser can safely operate the specific handgun model they are acquiring. This practical, hands-on demonstration goes beyond theoretical knowledge, verifying that the individual can safely perform basic operations such as loading, unloading, and engaging safety features. For example, you might be asked to insert a magazine, cycle the slide, and show that the chamber is clear. This crucial step is designed to minimize the risk of accidental discharge and promote responsible handling from the moment of purchase.